What's up guys, and I hope that you're well. So in this video we're going to talk about structure but on the seconds time frame. Now what you need to realize is that rules for structure remains the same regardless of the time frame that we're on. Now by now, if you're watching this video, you should be competent in marking out structure on the minute time frame and above, or even the 30-second time frame, because that's pretty much like the minute. It's not much different. The complexities come when we go from the 15-second to the 1 second, and that's where a lot of us tend to make mistakes because of the lack of detail. But what you need to realize is the rules are exactly the same. However, I can understand where the confusion comes from, especially because some of the candles don't even look like candles and some of the breaks look very strange. However, hopefully this video will clear up the common mistakes that we make. So in this video, I'm not going to talk about the minute time frame or above, purely because you've got the course video and there's a structure mitigation, not mitigation, there's a structure 101 video above in the FAQ section. So this is just to fill in the gap on the seconds time frame. So let's go to the 1 second time frame. Now, what you'll notice is with this, I don't use the no gaps indicator like some of you do, purely because we tend to make mistakes using that indicator. I personally hate that indicator. I don't see any reason why we should be using it. Get comfortable reading raw data and trading off this price, because you don't want to be losing a trade based on a stupid indicator like that. Because I understand that it will make things clearer for you, but what it does is puts candle bodies in positions where there's no body there. So what that will look like is a break of structure using that indicator, but without that indicator, it's fine. It's not a break of structure. Those are the mistakes that can cost you a stop loss and a winning trade or a break even, right? And I am not going to risk my capital. I'm not going to rely on that when I'm risking my capital. That, for me, that's just stupid. It doesn't make sense, but that's just my opinion. What I suggest is get comfortable reading this data just so you know how to actually read price. Now, when you get little dots like this, right, well, you need to understand that this is a candle body, and same as we have here where we have a wick, okay, candle body, wick, right? Now, what we need to understand is exactly the same, candle by candle, when they're breaking above and below, right? Exactly, you treat them exactly the same as how you would with a candle structure break, okay? Now, some of the complexities that we have is when price does this. Say that this is one of the little dots, and then next to it we have this. Oh, why is it not drawing then? Okay, next to it we have this. Now, when I say that we go on the candle closure of, whether it's broken high or low, I don't mean in terms of where price actually closes on the candle, because obviously if it's a bullish or bearish candle, the closure is on a different location, but it's more on upon the candle closure. So when the candle stops moving, how did it close? Did it break above or below the previous candle? Now, from the 1 second to the 15 second, what you'll notice is you'll have candles where you have this dot and then you have the next candle which ends up breaking the high and the low. If this is the case, what you've done is you created the high and you created the low in one candle. Okay, so what this means is if price goes to break the structure below, okay, it's going to take out this low, and if it retraces back, this whole candle is an OB in itself, so you can trade straight off that if you wanted to. Okay, same thing going the other way. If it was to break the structural high and then retrace, this whole candle is the OB, and then you can continue the move up. Okay, that's how we should see it, because what we need to understand is this, right? This is the exact same as this. So this is a dot. This is what price action is doing inside the dot. Then suddenly we break candle structure like this. Okay, then we form this range and then we break and continue from there. Okay, that's essentially what is happening. I could have just spread this out a little bit more. There we go. So this is what's happening in here. So we have a range, then we have an impulsive move, we form another range, and then we break it, and then price retraces to come back in, and depending on the direction of that move. So if you ever see this, especially like for example here, or like in a high of a move, I don't know if you have an example that I can show you actually. There's normally loads of these, and now there's suddenly none. Okay, For example, say we are at the end of a range. Okay, say that we are, for example, here, and then we end up having this peer. Oh, sorry, hold on a sec. Say we're looking for an inception within here, and then within this we see this. So we have, hold on a sec. We see this, and then we have this. Okay, so say we have this situation. This is happening in here, and we're looking for an entry point. What we have is we have the high being formed. Where did this high? Sorry, guys. Where was this high formed? This high was formed from this low. Okay, then what happened is price broke the structural low. Now is retracing back. This in itself is an OB. Right, so we can use that as a whole entry point to continue. So what you need to realize is that you need to understand that any candle closure, whether it's closing above or below, that is your structure break, and that is your candle break. Okay, candle and structure break. Okay, so when you're mapping structure, if you see structure points like this, you have the high and low in that candle. Sorry, guys. So that's the main thing. Another thing we need to realize is that the main thing is, we don't really care about where the candle closes, more upon the candle closure, has it closed above or below that previous candle. So these dots count. Now, another scenario that you'll have is when price has done this. So say you have a dot, for example, and then suddenly you have this. Okay, so you have this, and then you have the huge wick, and you have that. If this is the case, this candle body has closed above, so that is a break of structure. If you have this, however, okay, with the wick up here, nothing's happened. It's just a wick. Okay, and you guys should know this if you understand the structural rules. So the rules remain the same. It's just about those little complexities that we have when we're reading price. Now, if we go to the 5 second on this one, when we have, this is the scenario I was talking about. So here what we have, so this was the last low, for example. We had this break of the high, and then we have this low. So just because there's a gap, we need to remember that even though that there's a gap, price is still moving within that, but the candle body has closed above. So that's the whole point of having rules, is that we have a set rule to follow, and if the rules are present, we are going to follow that. There should be no doubt or no question about that. But the main thing with understanding the seconds time frame is that it requires time and practice to get used to it. So what I suggest is, because those two are, well, the topics discussed today is essentially the main mistakes that a lot of you are making in terms of reading second structure price. But I think some of you are trying to rush the process in understanding the second structure and trying to find ways to simplify it, which is, for example, using that indicator, when in reality you should be putting in the time and practice reading structure, because it's not easy. Even I made mistakes to this day, but you will only get better with time and practice. That's the main thing I can say. But those are the main mistakes, and it's something that wasn't really covered in the course video, because obviously we didn't talk about the second time frame in that. I just assumed that it will make sense in terms of the rules, but that was my fault for assuming that. So I hope this video adds some clarity in terms of structure, and because I know a lot of you are still asking questions in terms of structure, but hopefully we've covered all basics, all bases that you guys need to know, right? So watch this video a few times, just ingrain those rules that I've just given you now. Is that they're not any new rules, it's just making sure you understand how to read it. Every one of these dots is a candle body, right? Even if it has a wick, it's still a candle body closure that we're looking for. For example, here, this candle body is still closed in line with this one, so it's just a wick below, right? However, here, this candle body is closed below, so this has broken this previous candle. That's how you need to see it, okay? So what I suggest is go away, practice, spend some time. It's not even that hard to practice seconds time frame, because you can basically perfect this in what, about 15 minutes of just reading the seconds time frame, just by purely focusing on the seconds time frame structure and getting used to those quick movements. Because the quicker you're able to identify it, the better you'll be able to trade, and the better you'll be able to react. Because hopefully you'll come to a point where, in terms of structure breaks for me, I don't mark anything up. It was more everything is eyeballed because I understand where the structure points are. What I tend to do is, say if that was the high, I find the low, which is obviously here, and I'll hover my mouse around here so it will create this line. Now I'm pointing at my screen with my finger, knowing that you can't even see what I'm pointing at, but I would hold this around here and it causes obviously the crosshair, and then I have that line formed anyway, so I don't even need to draw it. I just need to know where it needs to break, and then I can quickly react. So I don't waste time drawing the lines on from here. But anyway, I hope this video has been useful, and apologies if the sound isn't great. I know it echoes slightly here, but hopefully this clarifies any of your seconds time frame concerns.